Hey there, game designers. I'm Isaac, and I have 2 stacks of ferrite dust.
And I'm Claire, and I am a gem collector.
And this is
Make
That Game,
where we pitch the latest
the greatest
new video game ideas.
that will never be made.
Sometimes.
Wait, have any of our game ideas been made?
No, but I do think I've seen game ideas very similar to ones we've come up with.
That's true. People are taking our ideas. And
That's not
making
what I
these
meant by
games.
that.
No. That's what's happening. Super Mario Brothers? Our idea. We
Not
came
our
up with
idea.
that.
We were not alive when that was conceptualized, I don't think.
Well, that just suggests to me that you don't believe that time machines will ever be real.
On that note, Isaac, do you have a game idea for us today?
Yes, I do. I don't have a name for it. It is an untitled real-time strategy game. The gimmick here that separates this away from other real-time strategy games, and for those who aren't familiar, real-time strategy is a genre where, you generally have like a god's eye view, like a bird's eye view of a map, and it's got various terrains, and you have buildings, you produce units, which are like little soldier guys, you collect resources, and you send them out to attack other players or NPCs that...
You've done this before.
What do you mean?
You've done a real-time strategy game before.
Yes, yeah. It's one of my favorite genres. And I often refer to city builders, which are effectively half of the real-time strategy genre on their own, that sometimes incorporate more and more real-time strategy elements. But so real-time strategy really has 2 elements to it. It's got the base building, which is I'm going to build a barracks, and a barracks will produce soldiers, and then I'm going to build a resource depot, and that's where my workers will drop off resources, which will allow me to build more workers, and I need to build them close to the various resources scattered around the map in order to efficiently collect them. And then you have the actual tactical element of, okay, now I've got 20 soldiers, 10 of them are axemen, 10 of them are archers. How do I position them on the battlefield and control who they attack and how they attack and their formation against the enemy soldiers to maximize my chance at victory? Because if their cavalry get to your archers, your archers will get killed. But if you can hold their army back, your archers will do a ton of damage while your axemen soak the damage. So that's the 2 components of the real-time strategy. Now, the gimmick for this one is that base building component still occurs, but it happens entirely off of the main map. So you're not placing barracks down. You're not placing a resource depot. You are navigating menus, which is the most exciting way to word it, but I'm just going to be real with you here. You build your base via these menus, and you say, okay, I need 6 more barrackses, and a little bar will fill up that'll say the progress of the workers back at the base. The only thing that you directly control are going to be the actual soldiers and where your soldiers are coming in from your off-map base. So you have different entry points on the map. Let's say the map is a forest or something. There's different entry points into the forest where your soldiers from your base can come in on, and you say, okay, I need reinforcements from the north. So I want my next batch of axemen to come in from the north entrance of the forest. And they come in, and the goal here is to really focus on that tactical element of it without removing the strategic element of the base building. You still have to be managing resources and stuff, but not as directly as you would in a normal RTS. And then the other goal is to get absolutely ludicrous number of units on the map at a time. So instead of having 200 maximum, and then some portion of that needs to be workers, in order to collect your resources, we can just have like thousands of guys, and you can begin reinforcement waves of like another 1,000 guys coming in from the north to flank the enemy while you're holding them in a battle in like the center clearing of a forest or something. And then you win when you've eradicated the enemy's entire army off the map. So yeah, that's my untitled RTS idea.
Okay. I feel like I could not grasp a lot of it, but that's just because I'm not a big strategy gamer.
It's a very niche genre, especially these days. Like StarCraft 2 was really one of the last big pushes for it. There have been a couple of big releases. I remember there was like I think it was Homeworld burning of something that like made a big splash, and people were like, "Oh yeah, RTSs are back." But it's a somewhat flawed genre, I will say, because of the two components. There's people who like the base building a lot and they play city builders, and there's people who like the tactics a lot and they generally play MOBAs now. Like ever since like StarCraft 1 or 2, that's kind of how the community has split. There's very few like hardcore like real-time strategy players left.
What's a MOBA?
MOBA is like League of Legends or Dota 2, so you
That means
control.
nothing to me.
You generally like control like a hero, and RTS like real time strategy things are happening on the map. So there's like a base, and it spawns like computer controlled guys that run down pathways to attack other controlled guys to invade the base, and then a team of a couple of players, like 3 to 5 or whatever, are controlling heroes that are, obviously better than the computer controlled things, and their goal is to coordinate against the enemy team to destroy their base first. So instead of controlling like an entire army at once, it has focused it down to like just controlling like one little guy.
I feel like that's not different enough to warrant an entirely new genre.
Hey, for the people who like want that like micro control of like they want to focus on like outmaneuvering their opponents rather than building a base. Like it makes sense to play a game that's entirely about outmaneuvering while the computer handles all that base crap for you.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man. It's dense. It's dense stuff.
Yeah, that's what makes it so good.
So let's name your game though, because we need to have a name of your game. Like, what makes it? What's the like two specific things that make it unique in a? I've already forgot the acronym.
RTS.
Yeah.
So the two specific things are the base building occurs in a very abstract way, but it does still exist. And then the second thing, and this isn't really super unique, but the large amounts of units and the focus on macro scale formations and management of those units. Like in many RTSs, because you have so few relative units, maximum of, like I said, like 200 in many of them, you have this ability where like, oh no, my Space Marine is taking a ton of damage, so I'm going to take him off of the front line and back him off so he doesn't die, and then move like a new Space Marine in. And like you can do these very micro scale things, but in this one, because there's like thousands of units overall, you're mostly just like, okay, my axemen move forward, my archers set up on this cliff, and my cavalry go for a flank attack. And then once the attacks actually start happening, you don't super care too much about any individual soldier. You're just like, oh, I've just lost 1,000 axemen. I need the barracks as I have to produce 1,000 more off map, and I need them to come from the southeast entrance so that they can reinforce on the southeast flank of this battle.
So maybe like base, because you use bases and they're different. And then you know how people like there's like base 10, base 12. That's like a math word. You could do like base 1 million or like base 100,000, and it's like to indicate the massive amount of people that you get to control.
Okay, I like it. I mean that is a very sci-fi name too.
It's fun.
And I realized I didn't give like a theme or an aesthetic. I just
No.
gave pure mechanics. But
I think that's why my brain kind of lost the plot halfway through, because I'm like,
I was
you know
using
me.
Space Marines as an example, and then I was using Axemen as an
And
example.
I'm a story title first kind of person. So I'm just out here like, okay,
Do you think it would be too on the nose to be like base 40,000 and be like, haha, this is a Warhammer inspired game, but it's not actually Warhammer 40,000,
I think you're
40K?
allowed, because people call it 40K and you're not calling it 40 base 40K. You're
That's
calling it base
true.
40,000. And I think that's funny and that's good.
Yeah. And and depending on how much it rips off Warhammer 40K, right? They have this aspect called drop pods, where Space Marines can basically be dropped from orbit into the middle of the battlefield, and that seems like it would be really cool in a system where like your base building happens off screen anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So like, oh, deploy, like I am going to produce 20 drop pods and the squads to go inside of it. And now I'm going to do a drop pod assault directly into the center of the enemy lines and see how
Mm-hmm.
much damage I can do with that, like behind the main battlefield. Yeah, okay. And then this could do a bunch of stuff with like trenches because it's sci-fi now. So the map could have interesting like
I mean, trenches are not just sci-fi, but yeah.
no, yeah, but they didn't really exist in like medieval times, you know.
No.
But yeah,
But
so
they did
okay,
exist by World War II. So
yes,
World War One, I think,
World War
right?
One, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
also, I was correct, because by World War II, they did exist. So, like,
that you were 100%
just were
correct. Yeah.
before that.
So yes, that is base 40K. Sorry, base 40,000.
Yeah. Not
My
to be confused.
real-time strategy game about macro control of many units while incorporating a menu-based menu-based base building aspect.
There you go.
Do you have a game?
I do. It's going to
Incredible.
be wildly different than the game you just pitched.
Oh,
It's called Boop. Boop. And
okay.
it's a mobile game.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a I was thinking of it more as a Where's Waldo, but it's not. So it's going to be like imagine like a screen full of cartoon, mostly cats, but probably some puppies in there too. Maybe even a bun every now and then. And it's just filled with them. And you have to boop as many of their noses in a certain amount of time. And the more noses you boop, the more points you get. And then you move on to different levels to boop the noses. Boop, 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 boop.
Okay.
But if you boop something that's not a nose, then you get points taken away.
Oh no.
So you have to make sure to boop the noses as fast as you can.
Are they going to be moving around and such?
I think maybe in like later levels. Like, it's got to start. This has got to be one of those mobile games with 100,000 million levels so they can just play forever. So yeah, it'll scale. Maybe there'll be some things where you got to like somehow like, I don't know. Mostly it's just a timed little game, but there could probably be a lot of things we could add. Like, oh, the cat's behind a cushion. You have to move the cushion before you can give them a boot.
Oh, okay. So incorporate new little obstacles and stuff.
Yeah.
You could also have, because you said Where's Waldo initially, I'm just thinking of Where's Waldo. You could have a Where's Waldo mode where you like create your specific pet, and then in the levels they will put it somewhere in the level, and you have to boop their nose specifically in a time limit.
Yeah, and that was initially what I was thinking of, but then I thought it's way more fun to just be like boop 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 boop.
Okay.
Boop, 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 boop. Not that, I mean, I think it's fun to create your pet. Maybe you can do that anyway and put it in, but
yeah, just change it up. Multiple modes never hurt no one.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the capability and it's not too onerous, here's the game design tip for the day. Multiple modes, multiple play styles.
I think like it can work. Yeah, I'm not saying it couldn't. I was just imagining like how horrifying it would be if Breath of the Wild had 2 play styles. I'd be like, I can't. I wouldn't play it. I'd just stop.
Okay, so I don't have bad news for you.
Does it have 2 play styles?
I'm pretty sure that you can unlock Master Mode.
Oh, that's not a play style. Isn't that just makes it harder, right?
Well, yes.
Okay. That's like Kirby. That's not
okay. All right.
like
all right.
making the same exact game harder is not the same as like.
I guess it depends on in which way it makes it harder, right? Because I'm pretty sure one of the things that Breath of the Wild Master Mode does is it makes things explode. Like enemies explode when they die. So like,
yeah, I've heard of that.
That changes how you have to play.
Okay, but like also that's not like something I could choose the first time I play it.
That's true. That's true.
So it's like a reward for winning. So it's in like the canon of the game. But if it was like, hey, if you want to play this as a top-down like 3D game, also we have that choice. I would be like, what?
If you want to play this Link's Awakening style.
Yeah, I mean that would actually be cool. Maybe I take it all back. I'm like, because that would actually be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I think it would stress me out too because it's so much to play. But yeah, that'd actually be kind of cool. All right, people who make like, well, actually maybe don't because Nintendo will probably tell you to stop. It's like if you could make a game, it'd be so cool if someone made Breath of the Wild, but like Link's Awakening.
A Breath of the Wild D-make. Let's get on it, folks.
What's that mean?
D-make is like a remake, but generally to make it like older retro style. So like take a full 3D modern game and then give it like remake it as if it was on the NES, including all like the limitations that would have. The Nintendo Entertainment Center, the Famicom, if you will.
I like the NES or the SNES. What is that? What does that stand for?
Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Because I think the acronym is silly.
SNES.
SNES, and it makes me think of Dr. Seuss and like
Dr.
and Sneetches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because well, it just looks like a character that would be in a Dr. Seuss. SNES. Well, it's SNES. I don't know. They just makes me laugh every time I see it on the GDQ little like because it'll tell you what console they're playing, and whenever it's a SNES, I'm like SNES.
SNES. Bless you.
Anyway, that's my game.
Cool. Yeah.
Is it too simple?
Ooh.
I don't know. We didn't really.
There is no limit on how simple or complex our game ideas have to be on this podcast. We've come up with some simple. We've come up with some righteously complex.
True.
There is the full spectrum of game ideas here at Make That Game.
Make that game.
All right. Well, we've done the pitches. We've pitched game ideas. Do you have a question? Do you want to ask me something? Do you want to dive deep, have a discussion about game design, some aspect of game design that you were wondering about in your gaming endeavors?
I do, and I'm not sure if it's too like big of a question. It might be too broad.
Okay.
But I really want to dig deep today into game over.
Okay.
Because so here's how. So I guess it's more a question about like lives and how you think about like character lives.
Yes.
Because I struggle, especially playing Breath of the Wild, I would say, with the game over concept. Because so imagine you're playing Breath of the Wild and you die, then it's like, which means you lose all your hearts. It says game over. And then you start again exactly where you left off. So it felt like that's not game over. But also at game over, it always gives you the option to go back to the title screen. So like, are there people out there who are just like, lost that time and then they just stop playing? I don't know. Like, so what's the function of having a game over like that? So why do we use game over? It's so final. I'm just rambling here, but I've thought about this a lot in video games because another thing that stresses me out, it's like it stresses me out to think the game is over. Like the first time that happened when I died in Breath of the Wild, I think I asked you, I said, is it okay if I die? Because I was like, it was so stressful to think that like, oh man, game over. No. And like in Mario is another example of like where I feel like it's not a big deal. It's actually done differently, but like also lives seem to not like, I get very confused because you have like 1-up lives. So if you die, you can come back as many lives as you have until, but it's not like hearts because you also still have hearts. But then if you lose all your hearts, you come back until you are out of the 1-ups. And then it's game over. But again, like you just start where you left. Like you have to start at the beginning of the level, but you start where you left off. So it's not really, to me, that's not over. But in Kirby, it felt more like game over. Kirby's Dream Land, the original, felt a lot more higher stakes with game over because it would literally put you all the way back. I don't know. That felt more real, I guess. So anyway, that's the question is like, What are the different ways, I guess, people can use lives, and how does that impact game design, and why did people decide to make it so dire?
Yep. so I'm not sure if this is correct off the top of my head, but I vaguely remember a piece of trivia. So the game over term, I think, originates from arcades,
That makes sense to me.
where like you put a quarter in, your game starts, you play, you run out of lives, you hit the game over screen, you have to put in more quarters to
Because then the game is
continue playing.
literally over, like you would,
Exactly.
yeah.
And then it's just one of those things where it was used so often, people became familiar with the concept, so it carried on into at home games, especially when at home games were like copies of arcade games.
You know
And
what? Really quick before a one that doesn't do this that literally made me laugh when I saw it, but I like it is a Dark Souls. The you
oh,
died.
yes, I was going to bring that up because they don't
Okay.
use the game over.
No.
They just tell you died. The game is not over. This is a normal part of this
Right.
game. You are supposed to, or you are expected to die, and that's actually a key. Like, they have designed the game around this concept of, yes, you will die.
A lot.
Here's how we make it as easy as possible for you to continue playing. It is not a game over. In Disco Elysium, the game over is if you've gotten into a complete fail state. It gives you a little story about how the game is ended for you, about like a little epilogue, and then gives you the chance of reloading your save. So it's over in the sense that you have finalized the story of your character, but not in the best possible way
I
or
think that
in
would
any
that
good
would
way.
stress me out a lot. I wouldn't be able to play anymore if it gave me an ending. I'd say that's it. I
Yeah,
did it.
like, oh, canonically, this is how it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, the game over is just the finalized aspect. So you've got lives, and then a life allows you to restart a level, and then you've got the game over when you run out of lives, and that is, oh, now you lose even more progress than if you just lost a life. So
Yeah, but I guess
arcades, you
the
pay quarters. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, well that makes sense. I think the arcade origin makes a lot of sense because it is the quarter thing where it's like literally game over. Like you have to pay more money now if you want to keep going, right?
Yep.
I think for Breath of the Wild specifically and other games like it seems even less meaningful. So when you have a game like Super Mario Brothers, like you said, so like if you have a life, you just get to continue as if you didn't die, right?
Yeah.
But if you run out of lives, you start the level over again. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, like you have to go back a little bit, but it's not even that far for the most part.
It's
like
not really a game over. Yeah, it should
no,
just be.
it should be a you died. It's a very like Dark Souls way. Like you are kind of expected to die a lot. I think. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just, I think Nintendo was like, we've been using the
use game
phrase
over.
"game over" for 45 years.
Well, and they're not alone in that. I don't think
No.
I think other games do this. I'm trying to remember what Ori does because
Huh.
Ori is one where I die a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if they do a game over or if they just kind of are like, you have failed.
Oh, I remember.
Respawn.
So yeah, they do a very much like Dark Souls, actually less. It makes it feel less of a big deal. Basically, all it does is, well, it's sad because Ori is all sad.
Yeah.
Like your little guy like bursts into like light. And it goes bah, like it died. And then the screen just goes black, and then it comes back at the last save point.
Oh, okay. See, that's an interesting way of doing it. Now, to I guess the second part of the question is, how do games use lives? So lives are a way of kind of giving you extra chances. So like, let's go back to the arcade game. So at the arcade game, if you had to put a quarter in every time you died, like at all, then that might frustrate you, stop you from playing. But if you can gain lives in the levels, so like Mario as an example, you can gain mushrooms, like, or one ups. Those give you extra lives. Now you can die 3-4 times before you have to give another quarter. It makes it feel like your money's worth a little bit more, and it might encourage you to put in a couple more quarters if you have them. At home, it's kind of the same concept, except because they're not directly earning quarters per like life lost. It's kind of just increasing the length of time that the game takes to play. So like, you collect the one ups, you can play like the same level until you run out of lives, and then when you hit a game over, it brings you back to some earlier part of the game, either the very beginning or like the beginning of a stage or something, or like the lives were bringing you to a checkpoint, so you go back to the beginning of whatever. And it's just saying like, okay, we don't have the ability to like really save games. Our game is 2 hours of gameplay. We want to kind of artificially lengthen this so that the people who buy this game aren't frustrated by how much they just paid for how short of an experience. So we'll make it so that the game will kill you and it will set you back. You have to replay a segment, and that will add more time value to this game, which is a cynical way of looking at it, but
Well, yeah, and
that's
I think that the thing is like at the end of the day, it is that it's both. You have to give enough lives that it's not frustrating, but it's also like if there's no stakes at all, then like why are we playing? Especially
yeah.
a game like Kirby or Mario. It's like if I could literally just play through a level forever, what's the point, right?
Yeah. Yep. Now the interesting thing is roguelikes or hardcore games.
No.
So, so roguelikes are often built around the idea of you have a character. Once they die, that character is gone forever. You will never play that exact character again. They're gone. Same with like hardcore games. So like Diablo 2 has a hardcore mode where if you die, your character basically gets deleted. You can never play them again. No Man's Sky has a hardcore mode.
Wow, this sucks. I hate this.
Well, this is for the people who want specific challenges.
Yeah,
Like,
I not me. So just so listeners out there know, not for me, not for me.
a lot of people invent this mode for games, or maybe not a lot of people, but this is like a semi-popular thing. Like in Pokemon, there's the concept of the fan-made Nuzlocke rules where you can only catch one Pokemon like per area in the game. You have to catch the first one that you see, and every time a Pokemon faints, you can never use that Pokemon again.
Okay,
Um,
that's just for you though, right? Like that's
right?
not
No, there's nothing in
nothing.
the games
Yeah,
that like enforces this, so you choose to personally challenge yourself or not. Um,
that sounds actually kind of fun.
See, you were just saying no, I hate hardcore, but then I
That's not
described.
hardcore.
I
That's
mean,
not
it
hardcore.
effectively is because your Pokemon becomes unusable every like if it faints.
I don't know. I mean, then you just have to go to another area and get another one.
Yeah, and then level it up again, and you don't get like the Pokemon that you get attached to are dead to you. Like imagine if
But
you
I guess
lost
because
your
they're
little
not
kitten.
really right. Like, oh, I hate that cat.
Oh, never
You
mind.
know that. You
All
know that
right.
I my
I
little
thought that
my
you liked the
weird.
initial evolution.
It was pretty cute, but like, geez, did they ruin it? Holy, holy moly!
All right. So
But this is not about Pokemon Violet today.
no. So yeah, those are the different lives. There's also a game there. Well, there's probably multiple, but there was a game for the PlayStation Portable, the PSP.
The ps, 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 ps,
The
ps.
call your cat. Shoot, I forget the name of it, but it's set in the Disgaea universe. Disgaea being a series of games. You play basically penguins, and you start with 999 lives, and you can gain more lives throughout the game. I'm pretty sure, but like when you hit 0 lives, it's game over. You are expected to complete the game with the initial 999 lives and whatever they give you like in the actual levels. And I believe that it completely restarts you at the beginning if you ever hit 0,
Oof, oof.
which is like semi hardcore because if I remember right, and this is we are talking about maybe a decade ago, maybe even more than a decade ago, but the idea is that I believe that you were 999 different of these penguin characters.
Oh, okay. You were telling me a little bit about a game like this.
I think so, yeah. Um, so yeah, if you lose all of like your little army of guys, then there is no more game to progress, and I think it starts you back at the beginning. So it's like a mixture of super game over and giving you tons and tons of lives. But it's another game where you're going to die a lot.
I kind of like the the concept. I've never played a game like this, so I don't know if I'd be like way too frustrated, but I like the idea of like when you come back in a different thing. Like, so with the penguins, it's like I was one penguin, that penguin died, so now I'm another penguin. Like, I don't know, that concept I think is interesting.
Oh, instead of being like, okay, I was Mario, I died, I'm still Mario.
Still Mario, yeah. I died and now I'm Luigi. What?
I died and now I'm a yellow guy. I guess that would be Wario.
You have to, yeah. They should make a Mario game where every time you die, you come back as a different character, and then when you run out of characters, you just have to start all over. So basically, just like what you described, but Nintendo themed.
I think they did make that. So I might be misremembering, but the first game I ever owned for Game Boy Advance was a Super Mario game. I forget exactly which one it was, but you could choose different characters every level. And I think if you lost a life with one character, you would have to play a different character to beat the level. And then I forget when you restored, like when you could play characters again. I think it was per level, but like
it's similar.
Every character had a different like strength or something. Like Mario was just normal Mario. Peach could like hover through the air.
Well, they still do that.
Yes, yeah. I think this is the game that like started like those powers.
I
for these
honestly
different
like that. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh,
like, yeah. Maybe that's another question we can ask another day.
Okay.
It's about like having different, because they do that in Donkey Kong too, right? Based on the Donkey Kong rap.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah. Speaking of absolute masterpieces, do you think I have solved your question?
I think so. So I guess, I mean, it was more of a discussion on it. I think what I would say, as far as like game design, because this is a game design podcast, I would say like if you're designing a game, to think through the emotional and mechanical choices that the way you choose to do a game over. Yes. Like how that impacts your world, that it's not just, oh, I'm going to use game over because that's like what everyone uses, that it has an impact on the way that the player is going to interpret losing lives or whatever. So
yep.
I think that's just the thing, is like, it can't be ignored, because if it is, then you can get me dying for the first time in Breath of the Wild and freaking out. So
yeah. Yep. Yeah. Really make, and this is like the general game design tip, like think through the choices that you're making. Don't just do things because that's how other things do it. Try to consider why other things have done it, and think if those reasons apply to your game. Like if you are making a Dark Souls type game and character is going to die a lot, don't give them a game over every time. Just plainly tell them that they died, move on with your game, or just respawn them like apparently Ori does without even acknowledging, or like you. I mean,
they do like a little death thing, but it's not. Yeah, they don't even say. There's no like words. There's nothing. They just start you over. Yeah, it's very, which definitely makes the fact that I die 100,000 times in that game much better, much easier. Although there is, I told this on the Ori episode, but there's a you can see how many times you've died, which I think is frustrating, and also implies that there are people out there, which always there are, who try to do like deathless Ori, which I'm just like.
Link's Awakening also keeps track of how many times you died. It's on
Link's Awakening or Breath of the Wild?
No, Link's Awakening. Maybe Breath of the Wild does, but I know Link's Awakening will show the number of times that you died.
I don't think I died a whole lot in that game.
Well, let's load it up and find out.
Yeah, we could. I did. I mean, I definitely died. Don't get me wrong. But, it's a little bit easier to not die. All right. Yeah, so I think that's the question, and that's kind of the answer. So with some very broad but useful game design tip of just always think about your choices. Yeah. Make good choices out there, game designers. All right. Well, that brings us to our third segment.
Third segment.
Three. Third and final segment, which is the rapid fire round. We're going to generate 3 random words. We'll have 5 minutes to come up with a game idea based on those 3 words. We've not seen the words before, but we're going to make a game about them, and we have to come up with a name for the game. Isaac, are you ready for our first 3 words?
Yep, and I'm starting in 3, 2, 1.
Bench, sheet, intermediate.
Intermediate?
Intermediate's a hard one. Does that just mean the game is like intermediately difficult?
I mean, it could have difficulty settings because it's like beginner, intermediate, expert is like phrasing that's been used. So like
Could
we could hit that angle. So three
could it
different.
mean like to mediate, to intermediate? I don't think that word ever meant that, but could
No,
it?
no,
No.
no.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Could it?
That's stretching it quite a bit. That's turning one word into two words almost.
Okay.
Um.
Well,
Okay. So
it's turning what is an adjective into a verb is what it is.
yeah. So bench makes me think of sports or
Oh, really?
trials.
Okay, can I talk about what I thought of initially because I think it's fun?
Yeah. Hit me with it.
Bench, I was thinking just like a regular park bench, and then sheet made me think of a ghost. So I was thinking there's like a ghost on a bench, and then the ghost, you're the ghost, and you have to, well, this is when I was thinking about intermediate, which is not a word, but that two people would sit on the bench and you had to like solve their problem. That was my idea.
Oh, by doing like ghosty things,
Yeah.
like you could, as a ghost, like brush one of the character's hands when they're looking away from each other, so that they think that the other person touched their hand, and they go, "Oh, is this how you really feel?" And the other person's confused, but they just roll with it, and then they smooch, and then you get 10 ghost points and
So it's
become an
like a
angel and go
dating
to
sim,
heaven.
but well, no. So this is another. Actually, I saw a game. Shoot, we can't do that exactly that because I actually saw a game on. It's coming out on Steam that is a ghost matchmaker game.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
so
real.
apparently intermediate can also mean to act as intermediary or to
I was
mediate.
right.
So,
Nice.
all right, we can do that. And it also means coming between two things in time, place, order, character.
All right, all right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, coming between. Let's shift it up because we don't want to copy another cool game.
Okay.
It's the same idea, except instead of helping the people, you're getting between them. So you're in a park, you're a park ghost, and there's people on all these benches, and you have to like, I'm just gonna scooch in here, and cause chaos.
Okay. Okay. Oh,
You don't seem
you're
totally sold
ghost.
on this.
You're ghost of anti-Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day. There's a bunch of PDA happening. This is making you as a ghost even angrier than normal because, ghosts have unfinished business. Maybe you never successfully did Valentine's Day. So your goal is to ruin as many Valentine's Days as possible by in being in between, getting in between all of these couples.
I think you win the game by like clearing all the benches. I will
Yeah.
say that I mean, I'm good going with the anti-Valentine's Day. It gives it a theme, but I did not, and like, my intention was not that these are couples. It just could be people. Just like I had no romantic ideas.
But I added a story to it.
Yeah.
And then this gives us a release date. We release this on Valentine's Day, and this is for all the curmudgeonly people who don't like it.
Because that's what we need is a release date.
Yeah. Now, and it also helps us come up with a name because naming is an important part of the rapid fire round. Now, what do we call our anti-Valentine's Day ghost bench game?
Love is dead.
Okay,
Romance
Love is dead. And with 1 minute and 2 seconds left on the clock, Love is Dead is our game name. That's the perfect game name.
All right.
That, although it does kind of imply that the goat, like, it is going to be like a romance game for a ghost or a zombie or something. But no. We're killing love.
Okay. Are you ready for our next 3 words?
Actually, I'm not. I was playing with my hair. All right, I'm ready. I'm gonna say go in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Conservative.
Oh.
Proportion.
Oh.
Secure.
Okay. Well, no, you are in a bunker and you have to ration your food and maintain security and gather more food. You have to be conservative with your proportions, balancing the happiness of the people in the bunker, which is based on how much food they get, with how much like resources you have. And you also have to like make excursions out. It's a city builder, but you are building a bunker in the post-apocalypse.
Okay, well, you made the game. What are we naming it? I don't know. That was just a game. You did it. You did all of it.
We'll call it what's I feel like there's an easy way to make like an area sound vacation-y. Like aren't a
I
lot of
think like Springs or like Palm Springs, Colorado Springs. That's not a vacation destination, but I would say like Springs, beach, island, villa,
Apocalyptic
oasis.
Springs?
Apocalypse Springs.
Apocalypse Springs. So yeah, and that's the yeah. So it's like a tongue-in-cheek reference to how like bad the conditions are, but it's trying to make it sound like a vacation destination.
I like that. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
With 3 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock, Apocalypse Springs, the game where you are managing a bunker in the apocalypse, and that's it.
That's it.
All right.
We love it.
Third and final rapid fire round. I'm ready. In 1, 2, 3, go.
Alrighty. So requirement, aluminum, and spider. I think you have to play as a spider in this one. We haven't had like a play as an animal in a long time.
Okay. And you're collecting aluminium?
I guess. Maybe you are an aluminum spider.
Oh. Okay. You're a spider made of aluminum, so you're like a little robot spider?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah. I don't know what else happens, but there's requirements, so let's go.
Okay. So do you think that you would be spinning actual like web, or do you think it would be more aluminum? Does it matter?
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Maybe your web is like extra strong because you're a robot spider.
Okay. So yeah, you're just going around levels, 3D platformer style with web slinging action, so you can grapple around and swing around. Your goal is to navigate various levels. All the levels
I feel like
are like normal human-sized stuff,
I don't know.
You're a tiny spider.
No, I don't know. I feel like lately we haven't had the same ideas.
No?
Like that's not how I imagine this at all. I thought of it more like a Stray style game, and it's like open world third person.
I mean, yeah, I would say Stray is a 3D platformer.
I guess it's a platformer. I just thought like more like story and detailed, and like it's interesting. Like you're a spider that's broken off from all the other robots. So like you used to be controlled by like this guy, but then like you somehow for some reason you're a spider that you got like sentience, and now you're working against the original evil spider controller. So you have to fight your own kind through the city, and you have to like use your strong webs to stuff, and you have to like learn new robot spider moves to out spider your other spiders.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And so, yeah, this.
I mean, I guess it is. It is a platformer. When you say 3D platformer, I picture it way more like, I guess not open world. I feel like this would be more open world.
Okay. I mean, 3D platformer is just shorthand to describe like the gameplay.
Yeah, mechanics. No, I know. I'm just telling you what my initial image of it is not open world. That's why I was like, oh.
Okay. Wait, your initial image is not open world?
Well,
your initial image of 3D platformer is not open world. Okay. All right.
I don't even, Stray's like, I don't know, it's barely open world.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it really is.
Well, I guess you can go like anywhere you want to.
Yeah. So, okay.
Is that what that means?
Open world, maybe that's a question for a different podcast, but not in our timed segment.
Ooh, okay. Requirement is that like every now and then, like you'll have to match this other spider's movement so you don't get caught as like the one that got away.
Oh, like a little Simon Says segment, like every once in a while.
If a certain type of like soldier or whatever like comes in the area, you have to like use the keys to like mimic the other spider's movements so that you don't get caught.
Okay, I
I
like
still
that.
think you're under control. All right, we did it. So that's the
Boom.
gameplay. It's called the Itsy Bitsy Spider, but like bit like a
The
like a
Itsy
bit.
01C spider.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I think a bit would actually be 4, so it would be like 000101.
Yes. The Itsy 0101 spider.
All right.
I love that name. That's
Boom,
a very
40
good.
seconds left on the clock. Nailed it. I think that's actually probably the best name that we've ever come up
It's
with.
a
I'm
really good name.
Honest.
It's a really good name. All right. Well, anyway, that's our show. If you liked our show, we'd love for you to give us a review on iTunes. You can also find us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Make That Game Pod. You can send us an email, makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com, with any games you think we should try, game ideas that you have, questions that you want us to answer, etc., etc. You can also find us on Twitch, twitch.tv/makethatgame. And we're on YouTube, youtube.com/@makethatgame. And if you heard a game idea today that you think just needs to exist in this wide world, please let it be the Itsy Bitsy Spider and make
that game.